What is up, everybody? I'm Courtney.
I'm Sean.
We're with Hill City Paranormal.
What's up?
HCP Paranormal Podcast. Today we have with us Lee Allen. He is with ParaVizionz Paranormal Society.
What's up, Lee?
That's a mouthful. ParaVizionz Paranormal Society. We're going to get this. At some point tonight, I'm going to mess this up. All the way from Cincinnati, Ohio, correct?
Yes.
How's the weather?
We're supposed to be getting a nasty storm tonight. So now it's warm. It's 60s but we're supposed to be getting some strong winds, thunderstorms, maybe a tornado.
That's what they're calling for here. We're in Virginia.
Lee, I think we got the same cup, brother.
I think we do. The Yeti. Yep.
Uh-oh. So speaking of brands, my computer has informed me that it is National Muffin Day. I was really excited because in the bottom of my computer right now, I have a really cute, tasty blueberry muffin. So National Muffin Day.
I don't like blueberry muffins.
So there's a national day for everything. I'm waiting for National Ghost Hunting Day.
We need to create it.
No, it's there.
It's there?
Yeah, I just don't remember what day it is. I'll have to look at it.
It is the last weekend of September.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
National Ghost Hunting Day.
I don't keep up with holidays too well.
Let's see. This year, National Ghost Hunting Day is, you are correct, September 28th of 2024.
Yep.
So if they've got a ghost hunting day, do they have like a paranormal day?
That would be the same thing, wouldn't it?
I know, but not really. Yes. National Paranormal Day is coming up on May 3rd. May 3rd. So we will have a paranormal day.
And then a few days later, we're going to have Cinco de Mayo.
Exactly.
We'll need that afterwards.
Right. What better way to celebrate? Paranormal chips and salsa.
Yeah, I'll be happy with it.
Exactly. Queso. And margaritas.
Tacos.
Yes, tacos.
As long as we got tacos, I'm good.
I think today we might be hungry. We're talking about National Muffin Day, tacos.
Every podcast we're talking about food.
Food, yeah. We need to switch this up.
Hey, well, I'm fat. I don't care. I talk about ghost. I talk about ghost and food all day. I don't care.
What if we created like a paranormal cooking show?
Cooking with ghosts.
Cooking with ghosts.
There you go.
There's an idea.
We can bring Lee on for that.
Yeah, Lee can be a guest. He can whip up a dish.
I love using my Blackstone, so yeah, count me in.
Do you like a Blackstone? We're thinking about one. I'm old school. I still cook with like an electric griddle.
Yep, you'll love the Blackstone. It's just about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, enough about tacos and margs and muffins. Lee, tell us a little bit about ParaVizionz Paranormal Society. How did this get formed? When? How many members do you have, etc.?
Okay, well, let's start back when I started ParaVizionz in 2002, January of 2002. Yes, so we are now hitting 22 years ParaVizionz. I've been involved in the paranormal since 1998, so I've been around the block a few times. But ParaVizionz, I wanted to start something cool and unique. So the word ParaVizionz always came to me because I always had a saying, always keep looking into the unknown, which it's on my banner behind me.
Yep.
Which you can't really see it. But that's my saying, always keep looking into. That's what we're doing, right? We're always wanting to look into the unknown. So ParaVizionz, that's what we're doing. Paranormal visions, trying to figure it out. So when I looked up that name, I had S's instead of Z's. So I went to Google, and back then we had dial AOL.
I remember AOL. The chat rooms were my thing. Yeah, I'm not going to give myself away, though.
I was in there.
And I noticed that they did some kind of like show with ParaVizionz. And but it was no S on the end. It was just ParaVision. And I'm like, I can't have that. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, and I came up with the name. I was like, let's do Z's. I like it. It's cool. It looks cool. And so me and my friend, we came up with my first logo, and it's stuck. So we created ParaVizionz. Let's see. Good Lord, I've done a lot. My team's been up and down in volume of people. When I started, there was only 5 of us. By the time 2005 hit, I was up to maybe 400 because I had different regions of ParaVizionz. I had Ohio, I had several regions in here. I had Pennsylvania, I had Kentucky, I had Indiana, and I had Illinois. So I had people, it was like every 3 months we would have a huge meeting.
Wow.
So it was huge. And then I got away from that because I got with my good friend Jason Halls. I'm part of the Taps family.
I was about to say, it sounds like I'm getting Taps vibes here.
Yes. So I went that route, and now there's just 7 of us now on the team, and me, my wife, Patty, Jay, and Teresa Lynch, and my buddy Jim. That he's been with me ever since almost day one. And then I have Jason Snyder from Toledo, and I have John Green, local here as well. So I have a couple mediums, a couple skeptics, and so we all mix well. We work well together. So we're busy, and just got wind that Taps has been on the low, but now today I got an email that they're going to start throwing more cases to us because the show's getting ready to come back on.
Right.
So we've been around, done that. The way I got involved in the paranormal is totally different, but we'll wait for that.
No,
whenever you're ready.
How did that'll be an excellent. I think you opened that, but I do want to touch on something. Back to the AOL. It's funny with the Z's. You made me laugh because my very first screen name on AOL. Do you remember yours?
Yes.
My very first screen name was Mystic Fantasies with a Z.
Oh, really? On the end?
I remember back, and that was actually in, I think, 98. So I'm giving away my age here live, right? So the whole putting Z's on the end was like the in thing at that time. Like
MySpace,
everything.
We had that MySpace and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Pimp, 69.
Mr.
There you go.
Wow. So, looking back though, mine sounded kind of not appropriate too. Mystic Fantasies. Like I'm not a stripper. But that was what I thought was cool at the time. So,
you went with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paranormal strippers.
We could start paranormal. The ideas just are unlimited in the paranormal world. Paranormal.
Oh my God!
You can play spooky music at the club.
Our dear friend Scott Grinwald. Rest in peace. But he always had para horror. So that was huge.
Hey,
yeah. I mean, I just can't imagine strippers dancing to like spooky, scary skeletons. That song came out around Halloween.
Yeah.
Great.
That'd be cool.
That would be like a Halloween thing.
I'd throw $1 or $2 on stage.
So tell us, so you said that you wanted to talk about like what got you into the paranormal. So before 98, I wasn't into paranormal. I never had, those personal experiences, or I never seen ghosts or anything like that when I was younger, at all. And so I was always into cars. That was my big thing. Sports, sound systems in my cars. That's what I was into until August of 98. Me and my first wife, we had our little boy, and he was born with what they call hypoplastic left heart. Left side of his heart wasn't fully developed. And so they had to go in and put a shunt in his left side of his heart. It was a 13-hour procedure. Jesus.
And it was all night long. So finally, they said, looks good. So the next morning, the shunt blew, and he passed away that day. So it was like 3 or 4 weeks after that, I started seeing this little 3-foot shadow. Like in my condo, I could see him coming down the steps. And, I had the big screen, but it was the plasma. And I could see him because I like to watch TV in the dark, but I could see the shadow to the left of my TV. And I'm watching TV by myself, and I'm like, man, I said, I do not know what that is. I couldn't move. I didn't know anything. And I remember when it walked in front of my TV, it actually blocked out the TV. That's when it scared the shit out of me. It shot into my dining room. I heard a giggle. I was like, I'm out. I turned lights on. I was like, I gotta leave. And then my next, I guess, experience with it was I was getting the shower one Saturday morning, going to go play golf with friends. And we had his nursery set up, baby Looney Tunes. That was the big thing then. And when I was in the bathroom, I had the door closed and I could hear his mobile. It was baby Looney Tune mobile, but it was playing backwards. I was like, what the hell is that? So I go out the bathroom, open up his room, and I noticed to the far left in the middle of the room, or there on the wall, his mobile was swinging. And I'm like, there's nobody here but me. So I go out in the hallway and I'm yelling down the steps. I go downstairs. Nobody's here. Go back up and I'm standing in the middle of that room. And you know that vibe. You like feel like someone's watching you.
Right.
His closet was open. It was a big closet. All this baby stuff, never been used. I slowly back up, walking backwards. I close the door, go play golf. I'm like, man, I got to talk to somebody. And my friends was like, dude, there's no such thing. And I'm like, dude, I've never experienced anything like this before. So I started sharing my stories. Well, then a friend got with me about grieving. Maybe that's a little part of it. So they got me into this Yahoo group. And it was local people, and I was talking. And as I was on there one night, I said, oh, look at this. I was on Yahoo, and I was like, they've got like paranormal stuff. So I clicked that group, and I'm just reading a lot of stuff people are putting in there. So I just started asking questions, and nobody responded right away. It was a couple days or so. And I was like, this is crazy. So then I started talking to these people, and they're like, yeah, it's real. But the only show out there that I could really watch was Most Haunted in UK. And I'm like, that show's batshit crazy. I was like, man, I don't know about that. So watching some of that stuff and putting what I picked up through my head, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I said, it has to be paranormal. So I started talking to my mom. She's from Kentucky. And, you know, they grew up with ghosts. They walked
Appalachia.
Yeah, or Eastern Kentucky. And they would walk through cemeteries. It was normal. And I said, Mom, I've never experienced this before. She's never shared any of those stories to me. She goes, honey, it's real. And so my first investigation, I wanted to go on one. I was talking to these people. They invited me. There was only a couple showed. Then me and another guy, that one that really invited me, we stayed. We were at Wheeling, West Virginia, Moundsville Penitentiary. And we're in there from 11 o'clock after everybody ate pizza. Their little tour people, the thrill seekers, they left. And all we had really to investigate with was a C battery flashlight. I had this little HP camcorder with a little tiny screen and a audio recorder. I didn't even have a digital. And we're sitting downstairs in the Sugar Shack, and we're just hearing all kinds of crazy stuff around us. And the two-way goes off, and the guy that was upstairs sleeping, you know, checked the security. He goes, Lee, and I'm like, yes. And he goes, is it all right if my son hangs out with you guys and investigates? And I'm like, yeah, it's just me and him. Me and my buddy here are the only ones in the building, right? And he goes, yeah, me in this room, and I'm staying in the room. So we walked up, went back into the building, went over to the main area, and he introduced me to his son. And this is the crazy thing. Now, it was Brad Paisley, your country singer. Never knew who he was then. He was a young guy, big into ghost hunting. He's from there. And so it was really cool. My first investigation, you know, is a big story because I investigated with Brad Paisley, the country singer. So I was like,
that is cool.
So we investigated up to like 7:30 in the morning. And then we went back to the hotel and crashed. But it was really cool, you know, a lot of experiences. And so then in 2000, me and my wife weren't married, but we got married. And then in December of 2000, my daughter was born. And they took her from us, you know, like they do, and clean up. And they went to take her temperature, and she had no rectum. I was like, what? I said, not again. And they did an x-ray, and they was like, yeah. So she had pretty much an imperforated anus where they had to reconstruct everything. So they put her on a colostomy bag. They put a little like vesticostomy, little P tube right above her belly button, so she had to wear the bigger diapers. We had to get used to that. They kept her in there for like 2 weeks because she had jaundice as well. And so I was like, okay. I says, I guess the good Lord's given me another. This is a try. He gives it to you as much as you can handle. So we're dealing with our child, and that's when I started the team. And as I was starting to help people going on investigations, residentials, it was therapeutic to me, helping others.
Right.
So then there about 2003, I was like, I need to step away from this because my daughter's going through so many surgeries, inpatient, outpatient. I'm thinking this is a sign that I'm tampering with the wrong stuff. This is not where I need to be. So I did for like a month. Got a sign like, no, this is where you need to be. You need to be in the paranormal. You need to draw people from the darkness and bring them into the light. Your message is going to help a lot of people down the road. And this came to me in a dream. And I was like, okay, this is where I need to be. And so she passed away May of 2005. They went in to take 85% of her colon. And she left on Friday. She passed away on Monday. She had sepsis in the bowels. So losing 2 kids, I know. I got her tattooed on my shoulder here, on my right shoulder. Never had a picture of my son, but we always had him set up because that's when I was in the cars. I had a 67 Fastback Mustang. It was all ready for drag race, and I was going to put him in it. That was going to be him. I wanted him to be that guy. So I got a tattoo of the Hot Wheels emblem with his name in it, and that's on my left shoulder. And then I've got their names. So all my tattoos mean something to me from my kids. And then I just like, I got to help people. So I know, the more you start getting into the paranormal, you come more in tune. You come more in tune when you're listening to things. You being in a room with a bunch of people, who's the negative, who's the good. So I've learned a lot from that, and I go with it. And it's took me down some awesome roads, doing some cool things that I've never thought I would be doing, not just helping people, but meeting some cool people, meeting people across the world, that's going through things. Had the opportunity. My first opportunity was it was Christmas. Now, this is how I met my wife now. A friend of mine had a team, and he wanted a second opinion. So I was like, I can send a team in, but it won't be me because I can't pass this opportunity up. So I sent a team in, but I came back to do the reveal. And what I was doing, I was in Columbus, Ohio, doing a Super Bowl commercial with Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson. I'm this little white guy sitting at the table eating these chicken wings. And I got Mike Tyson here, Buster Douglas here. And they're over me and I said, just don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Now, they're both diabetic, so they made a cookbook, and I've got it somewhere here. I've got it, and they signed it. So they did this cookbook together for people with diabetes, and that's how I met my wife. I pulled in the driveway that day. It was like that moment, like where she turns around and she's it for you. She was shoveling the driveway, and I pulled in with a friend that was here that night, and I was like, what an idiot. Her husband's sitting in the house while she's shoveling the driveway. I was like, really? So she says, go on through the garage, go in. They're waiting for you. So we go. She came in, and it was just like love at first sight. So it took a while before we started talking. And now her being a client, she knows how to go in when we do residentials, to talk about, okay, if you're on medications, the side effects, try to get that kind of stuff out. And she's really good about talking to the wife or the girlfriend, and she gets a lot of stuff out from them. So she's been on that side of the fence. So we've done that, and just a lot of fun things, done some hauntings. I've done 2 of those. Worked with ghost hunters. We used to investigate Kings Island here in Cincinnati before they came in. Had TAPS go in and investigate it afterwards. The cool thing is they couldn't go investigate what we did because they had to keep things that you could Google, not the true meaning behind it. And I thought that was cool. So when I first met them, they're like, dude, you guys had some crazy stuff. And do you remember the show Ghost Hunters Academy?
Vaguely.
Okay.
I
There
don't
was
think I got into that one.
it wasn't on that much. That's where Rosalind Bound was on, and another guy that lives local here. I didn't know he was on it, but his name's Eric Baldino, and he actually was part of my team when we did the Kings Island. And then
Oh, cool.
right after he went to Taps. I was like, what? So yeah, working with them, they do things different than I do, and Jason knows that. I'm more of a I want to get my hands dirty. I want to dig. I want to provoke. I want to bring this out so I can pull it out. That's how I do my investigations. I don't stop. I know who's beside me, and I know who's behind me. I got my kids, and I got the good Lord above me.
That's right.
They're gonna tell me when to stop.
Right.
Just because I get a muffled voice on my audio recorder as I go back, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. And that's me. I'm the guy that walks in the dark. Oh, you said that's very active and you shouldn't walk through there because you're going to get scratched and punched. I'm going. That's me. I'm going. Right. And so I just want to get to the point, because a lot of stuff, my full-time job is I'm in the fire field. So a lot of stuff can be, I deal with EMF, I deal with electromagnetic, all that stuff. I got to make sure that it's not paranormal. So we got, my opinion, you got 100%, and 95% we can reenact. It's man-made. It's something that we can debunk. But that 5%, I scratch my head because I've seen it before. What got me involved into the paranormal? You got to say it's real. If you believe in God, you got to believe in the devil.
That's true.
So that's where I come from. I like to dig deep into things. Love to investigate with others, new people. And it's a thing. I just talked a while back to some people. You have a way. Okay, let's say all three of us are using a K2. You may use your K2 different than me. So I'm like, oh, I never thought of using it that way. So that's why I really like to do is I like to investigate with others to learn that, oh, wow, I got that piece of equipment, but I think it sucks, but I'm going to try it that way.
And well, let's stop right there. So you hit something that I'm huge on. Number we'll actually hit a couple of things in that one segment that I'm huge on. Number one is investigating with others. I've learned from beginners who just started. Believe it or not, I've learned a lot from beginners who just started. And I've learned from people who've been doing it everywhere in between, who've been doing it from people who've done it twice as long as I have. So I love investigating with new people.
Oh, me too.
I've learned to ignore people as well. Because you got those ones who know it all. You can't tell them nothing.
Oh, yeah.
So I let them. I just leave them alone. I've learned to ignore them. But the ones who are just beginning, I love them because they do things and try things that I would have never thought of, even when I started. So I love them. They will watch YouTube and ghost hunters and all that stuff, and they will show you things that you would have never thought of. So, and the K2 thing, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been doing this for years and years. I don't even know how to put a number on it because I don't. But we'll say over 20. And myself, and I'm going to say that I've just really started using the K2 because I've seen so many other people use it a certain way that I would have never thought of. And in my opinion, I thought a K2 was just to find a baseline to see where the EMF was. But I've seen people use it in other ways, and I've just started as of like a month ago using the K2 on all. Now I gotta have it. It's in my little bag. I carry it with me everywhere I go now. So I'm glad you hit on that because I got to stress the importance of a K2 now. I love it now, and I've got multiple different ones now that I carry. I don't just carry one; I carry 3 or 4 different ones.
Well, yeah, because they're cheap and they're great. And here's another thing you can add to it. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. Harbor Freight. They've got this little device called an RF detector. It uses 2 AAA batteries. I Velcro it on top of my K2. All my team does. And people are like, what is that? It's like you turn it on when you turn your K2 on. So let's say we're investigating into an old building, okay, and we're in there late at night. It could be near a highway. So you got your truckers going down the road. You've got cops patrolling the town. there's CB radios interfere, right? So if the RF radio frequency starts to pick up, it's going to cause that to go off before the K2. If the K2 goes off and that doesn't, then I'm scratching my head going, okay, we got something here. Because I took radio frequency away from the EMF. So what's going on? This thing has been sitting here for 10 minutes and it's not went off, but now it's going off and the RF's not going off. So they're like $14 to add to the K2. It's the best investment you can put with it.
That's why I love my tri-field.
Mm-hmm.
The tri-field has the RF detector on it. I
use the old school one, the one where you don't have the light, so you got to shine a flashlight or something on it.
I got the new one. I was going to get an old school one just to have it, but I was like, man, I can't pay $200 to have two of the same devices.
Now the new one's got it's got the sound, right? So if anything changes, it'll make a sound.
Yeah, I can sit it down in the room, or I like it because I can not look at it and walk. And if something spikes, it'll let me know. So that's why I like it.
I agree, because I like where you can put it on, if you're running your camera like Ghost Adventures does, they mount it. It's got the insert to where you can mount it onto your camera tripod or whatever. So you're walking around, you can see it at all times.
Right.
And the old school doesn't have that. So
yeah, I love the new school tri-field. I mean, I just started using it about maybe a month ago, and I like it because it measures the Earth EMF.
Yes.
That's one thing I love about it. You're always going to get a baseline read no matter where you're at. It's never going to read zero. I go back to the old school cemeteries when I'm not doing regular investigations, and we go back to old school abandoned places. We do a lot of old school stuff. A lot of the stuff that other investigators make fun of us for, we still do it.
But that's the best stuff, though.
But yeah, but we still do it, and I tell you, ever since I got the tri-field, it's changed a lot of ways I investigate. But I still break out the black one with the multicolored lights on it, and the way I use it now is phenomenal. So I'm glad you brought the K2 up.
Absolutely, and I still carry my cell sensor around. Remember the old cell sensor?
Oh yeah,
I still love that thing, and I still carry my analog and my digital recorders. It's my favorite piece of equipment is my old school thing. Absolutely. Because there's no, I don't know if you guys knew this, but in the court system, you're not allowed to use a digital recorder. They always have to use analog recorders because nobody can go in and tamper with the files. It's
evidence, right?
Yes, it is what it is. Whatever they say, it's there. It's not like the prosecutor could take that recorder back and put it on his computer. You're going to get what you get. So, if somebody's in there to, before they get sentenced, that's it. The truth has been told. Right. And I think that's really cool. And that's why I stuck with the old analog at first. I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want to be legit, and then playing that old thing and hearing the old cassettes we grew up on, when you hear that, a voice or something in the background, it still today gives me goosebumps. I'm like, God, did you hear that? I was like, geez.
Well, I just want to say, first and foremostly, your story is very inspirational. I'm very sorry for both of your losses. I can't imagine.
Thank you so much.
I can't imagine. I think it's great to memorialize your kids with tattoos. I memorialize, well, it's not memorialized. I have tattoos for my kids too. So I think that's pretty cool. But and my son is actually a month younger than your son would have been. He was born September of 98. So cool. That kind of hit me when you said the baby Looney Tunes, because I'm like, that's a throwback, because like his whole crib was baby Looney Tunes. But yes, I think that's very touching. And again, I just want to say, from Hill City Paranormal, I am very sorry for your losses.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys so much.
My mama heartstrings for a second.
It did.
So, absolutely. And that's what it's about. Families. That's all what it's about, right?
Right. But I think that the piece that kind of caught my attention was the fact that even though your son was less than a day old, he still made his presence known.
Yep.
And I think that's important to touch on, because a lot of people think that, you have to be so old, or you have to be, like infants. There's no way we can communicate with an infant. There's no way. I do not agree with that at all. I think that if a spirit wants to manifest, whether it's a day old, a couple hours old, a couple days old, whatever the case may be, I think that definitely that it's going to manifest in whatever way possible. And in your case, it was, a 3-foot shadow figure. And a lot of the time, growing up, my mom, which is a touchy subject. Hers was up here, but she would say some things that now that I'm in the paranormal field kind of stuck out. She would say things like, people come to you to let you know that they're okay. You'll see things to let you know that it's okay on the other side. Or, hey, Dad, in your case, Dad, I'm okay. I'm in a better place, whatever the case may be. She would also say things like, if you see shadow figures, it's a loved one that's watching over you and protecting you. And whether, it's a baby that's a day old or a week old, I do wholeheartedly believe that we are sent guardian angels, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely think that it's important that you continue to help people in the manner that you're helping people. There's so many people out here that have personal experiences, and that's where your story kind of caught my attention too, because you said, I didn't grow up seeing ghosts. We've interviewed a lot of teams, and generally speaking, that's where the story starts. I grew up, I saw ghosts. I did not. I've been paranormal investigating for 13 years. I did not grow up seeing ghosts. Believe it or not, my paranormal story comes a little bit differently. I'm a science freak. And so when I found out that there's like equipment that you can use that can detect like energy that we can't see, it piqued my science brain. And I'm also a true crime buff. So you put true crime
too.
And that together, you're like all on it. So as Sean was saying, a lot of the times in between our investigations, we'll take it back old school and we'll go, hey, April. April is with Paranormal Variants.
Hello, April. Hello, Richard.
Anyway, we'll take it back old school. We'll go to cemeteries. And the one thing that we've been peaking lately is unsolved murders. Well, I don't want to use the word unsolved.
They're unsolved.
People have been charged, but the stories don't make sense.
But the person that was murdered has not been able to share their story.
Right.
And you're going after it, which is cool.
So I want to go down a rabbit hole right now with you. So you're leading me to somewhere that we don't normally go. But cell phone apps, how do you feel about them? Because my opinion on them has recently changed, actually, in a different direction. So I want to get yours before I give you mine.
Well, the first thing that I see when I download them, for me personally, is it says for entertainment use only. Because back to the analog and the digital, you've got filters in digital and you don't have an analog. Okay, phones, they have files beyond files. If you got an Android, you got an iPhone, it's all the same. It's all files. So now if you have an app, which I have done, and I've used one, and I've got something that's real personal, a response, and I'm like, I don't care what you say about the app, it worked.
Right.
And that one was the Necropolis app. I got something that blew me away from my children, and I'm like, so that app is still on my phone. I use it when we do ghost hunting classes, because I work with a lot of historical societies here in Ohio. And so I do ghost classes, and that's something big that, people that come into those investigations for the night, it's something that everybody can get entertained with. And sometimes we pick up things that's attached to people in the groups. So like you said, I'm up on the fence, it just depends on which one it is. Like some of the maps, it's the same thing as a piece of equipment, right? I mean, we're using just like, the electronic stuff. It's the same stuff.
Right.
How do we truly know? I'm working on something that I want to, it's all lately on the equipment. It's a lot of just EMF, right? EMF. We need to step away from that. We need to go to the next. And I think if this is something you probably hear a lot, is if everybody would get out of their egos and work together in the paranormal field, we can move on to the next step and help each other, and we would be there. But we always as soon as somebody wants to put something out, like something cool that they captured, you always have those negative people says, well, I wasn't there. How do I know that's real?
Right.
Instead of just saying, wow, that's cool.
Yes. Let me hear your story. Let's hear the story. Share the time of the day. Share where you were. Were you on a piece of property that had a lot of quartz or limestone? Was it an active place? What was there prior? Instead, we're just, I wasn't there. That wasn't my, that you're just putting it. That's why people are so scared to put stuff out there. And I'm like, technically, and I'm like this. Go ahead.
Oh, no, finish. Please finish.
I'm old school and I don't give a shit what people think about me because they can talk all they want behind a computer, but tell me in my face because I'm Gen X. I didn't take the crap. I knock you out, move on. And then we get a beer afterwards or you hate me for life. That's just how it is. Right. But I like to work with everyone. And I think everybody should be able to put their stuff out. I hear so many good stories and I'm like, well, why don't you share that? And they're like, are you crazy? It's like, dude, I've been around paranormal long enough. Put it out there.
And this is what the basis for us starting this podcast is, because we've had so many people come to us and tell us their stories, and we are not haters. First of all, who am I to judge what you saw? Absolutely. I wasn't there. So if that's something that you told me right from the jump, you saw a 3-foot shadow figure. I wasn't there, but I find that to be fascinating. So my ears perked up and I wanted to hear the rest of the story. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's cool. And I think that's super personal. And I think that that's something that, I commend you on sharing, because like you said, there's not a lot of people that are out there anymore with the balls, so to speak, to share what they've experienced because of all the debunkers that are out there. And, I know some people, I do. I know some people that will freaking debunk everything that you put out there. Everything. And I'm like, and I roll my eyes. I do. I just roll my eyes. Now,
I've seen it. Yeah.
With that being said, I will call myself out. We have also heard some stories that personally amongst us, I've looked at him and just kind of been like, okay, those are a little far-fetched. But then I say out loud to him also in the same sentence,
we weren't there.
I wasn't there. Who am I to judge? I'm being judgmental. Stop it. Smack my own wrist and keep it moving.
We're the first to check ourselves.
So, have I heard some really outlandish stuff? Absolutely. But again, I have to check myself because I was not there and I'm not judgmental. That's
and the thing is too, we're hearing that and you're saying you wasn't there, but maybe it's the person that's telling their story is not a good storyteller. So a lot of people in the paranormal just take the way they're saying it.
Right.
And they're like, dude, that's too far fetched. How can that be real?
Or they're
then somebody else that was there goes, no, technically this is how it went down. And then you're like, wow. Because it's not the way the person can speak it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like they're nervous or they're too scared of the skepticism that might come with it. But back
to the phone. Back to the phone apps.
Yeah,
I was very skeptical of the phone app. My daughter actually started us on the phone app, and I was like, it's a toy.
She started watching Sam and Colby.
And I was like, it's entertainment. And then she was using it. And we were in a graveyard because she wanted to start experimenting with it.
She was about 7.
And she was about 7 when she had it. And it was pointing towards mental health. And it kept talking about mental health. So I kind of Googled who these people were that she was talking to at this gravesite. Come to find out, it was the people that started the mental health ward at the hospital here where we're at in Lynchburg. So I was like, okay, that can't be a coincidence. Fast forward to 8 years later, 9 years later, I get a phone app and I'm like, I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna try it.
We tried it in Antietam.
We tried it in Antietam. It was giving positive responses, the same app. But I got a new app recently and I was trying it out and I heard voices that I said, I'm going to investigate people that I know that passed away. And I've heard their voices. they were given answers to questions. One of them was a pastor that baptized me, and I asked the questions that they wouldn't know the answer to, that a random app wouldn't know.
A word bank would not have this information.
So the main question was, were you the pastor of? And it said the name of the church.
Oh, wow.
And in the voice of the pastor that I heard when he was alive. His wife.
That had to freak you out.
I was kind of shocked. And then his wife passed away. So I asked, I called her name and said, "Are you with us?" Her voice came through the box and said her name through the app.
Wow.
So now I'm convinced that this app is legit. And most people listening could probably say no way, but I've got it on tape because I'm a firm believer. If it didn't come on tape, it didn't happen. I can play the recording in front of me.
Onto that, the same thing with me is using an app, doing an investigation, and actually picking up or onto the digital recorder at the same time the app goes off. That creeped me out. I'm like, wow, okay, maybe we should look into this app, just like, you go into the Walmarts, your local Walmarts, and they got a skid of Ouija boards. And I always tell the guys when I see them, they're stocking it. I was like, oh, more customers for me. And they look at you like, what? I'm like, yeah, kids are using these, right?
Yeah.
So just like the kids with today, every kid's got a phone. So they're going to download the free apps and they're going to play around with them.
Right.
So
and we caught a lot of slack when my stepdaughter came to me and said, I want a Ouija board for Christmas. And she was like 9 years old. And, the older generations in her family just absolutely we got so shunned for that. They were just like, what are you doing? But
we're gonna bring up dark magic and all that stuff.
Right. I didn't just throw the Ouija board at her for Christmas and be like, have fun, good luck. Like, we sat down, we told her, always make sure, if you're opening something, you need to close it. Make sure you say goodbye. Don't play by yourself. Yeah, exactly. So we taught her those general rules, and because of some of the stuff that we did, and because we are so supportive, she is now almost 16 years old, and she is one of our best investigators on our team. She really is.
She was taught well. She was taught by her mom.
She does a phenomenal job. The spirit box is my least favorite piece of equipment. I was just asked that recently. What's my favorite and what's my least favorite? My least favorite piece of equipment is a spirit box because my ADHD cannot handle all that white noise. I'm just like, what is it saying?
You're like, I gotta leave.
I'm almost concentrating so hard listening for something clear that I'm driving myself insane. So that's a piece of equipment that she owns. Like if we're running a spirit box session or an Estes method, she's our go-to. She will sit there and, spout off those words. And even, if she doesn't have headphones on, she can pick it out. And that is just phenomenal. But to touch on the phone apps for anybody that's listening, just shaking their head, because I know there's some of you that are like, oh, phone apps.
I'm sure.
I am a huge fan of phone apps myself. I am fully aware that they are exactly what they are, which is, like you said, for entertainment purposes, and they're word banks. But I also am a firm believer that a spirit can manipulate whatever it wants. If a spirit wants to walk in here and levitate this whole desk and it has enough energy to do so, it can and it will. So I'm very cautious. A lot of the time in some of our video evidence, you'll hear me in the background and I'll be going random, because they are random words that are coming through. Like I'm sitting here and, I'm communicating with, I don't know, a 16-year-old female that recently passed away, and I'm getting the word Satan, Lucifer. That's random to me. That has nothing to do with anything that I'm talking about. I mean, it could be, but it's nothing that I'm asking, And
for the skeptics, listen, when I gave the story about me communicating with those people that I was mentioning earlier, that app that I'm using is on a cell phone that has no service connected to it, and it's in airplane mode.
Yeah, we picked up a cell phone from a pawn shop.
I went to a pawn shop, got a phone that has no service and it's in airplane mode. So there's no way that it's hearing.
There's no interference with anything.
Right.
Yeah, the phone is usually not in my house, by the way.
So Richard said my dead father called my phone. So yes, they can manipulate a phone.
Absolutely.
Richard,
Yeah.
it's funny that you said that because as Sean calls it, going down the rabbit hole, I am a research queen. So I will find a topic and I will stick on it. And I actually have recently been reading about cell phones that were buried with dead loved ones, or the recent story that I read was a grandson had watched his grandfather get buried, and he was like a teenager, and to comfort him, he wanted to bury his grandfather with his grandfather's cell phone. And that night, his phone rang back to back, but nobody was on the other line, but it was coming from grandpa's cell phone. So, I've been reading stories about that. I personally have never experienced that, but I mean, I am 100% with that they can manipulate anything.
Lee, what's your favorite piece of equipment?
My favorite piece of equipment is my body. Just like when we were growing up and we were scared to go to school, we were scared to go ride a roller coaster, but all exciting at the same time. Our body's going to give us all of that stuff. Upset stomach, like, no, I didn't, walking through an old, lunatic asylum. No, I don't want to go in that room. You go past it. Then someone comes up and shares a story about that room and says, and I'm like, see, I told you I'm not going in that room. So my body is the best piece of equipment. But if I had to pick like stuff that was made, of course, a recorder, of course. But I would have to say, wow, because I've got almost everything Ghost Stop makes. And several other people.
I was going to say, sounds like somebody else I know.
Guilty.
Yeah. Guilty as charged. And everybody on my team goes, hey, did you see the post that Ghost Stop put out? I was like, yeah, I already got an email from Sean. Sean's already, hey, you want this? I'm like, I know what he's got.
So Ghost Stop is literally 4 minutes from our house.
Yeah, they moved near you there. Yes.
So imagine that one. Yeah. If a new piece of equipment comes out, like the day the dead bell came out, he was there.
My wife would be like, where you at? She'd call me, where you at?
Ghost Stop.
Yeah, let me do a GPS on you. Ghost Stop.
Yeah. We've experienced that. Hey, Sean, where you at? Hey, I'll call you back. I'm in Ghost Stop.
I would have to say, like, if I had to use a piece of equipment, that would have to be my favorite. I would have to say that just a REM pod. I like if I'm talking to something that I know I'm getting responses, and it goes off, and then I say, hey, stop, and then, hey, change colors, and it does. That's cool, right? I mean, that's intelligent. I'm thinking, dude, I just asked you to change colors, and it did, and it stopped. So that would have to be it, REM pod, because when I got into the paranormal, I didn't know nothing about it. I didn't know what a medium was. Only thing that I can think of at the time was that lady in California, that Miss Chloe, right?
We've talked about Miss Chloe.
Yeah, she would just take your money. And I'm like, is that really what a medium is?
Yeah, it's Miss Cleo.
Yeah, Cleo. And then so in 2010, my empath opened. We were at Mansfield Reformatory doing an event, and I had to take a group down in the basement of the executive side. We had one more area to go into. There was 6 of us, and Jim, my buddy, he was filming, so he was the last one. I was front, and I said, let's go in. So you had to go in the cell block and doors, and then you made immediate left, and then you walked, I don't know, maybe 4 feet, and then it opened up into a room. Far left corner, I'm walking in, and I'm like, whoa, I stop, and I put my hands up, and I'm backing up, and they're like, what's going on? I'm like, I think we're getting punked right now by Scott Sokol. He used to run it. I was like, there is a dude standing in that corner. And they're like, no way. And I said, I described him to a T. I was like, he's 6'5". He's got that flat haircut. He's got those black Ray-Ban glasses. I said, he's got a gray jumpsuit on. I read his inmate number. Jim's filming this. I said, he's got the shiniest dress shoes on. I was like, and then he moved. And then I backed up like, whoa. So Jim's like, dude, I don't see this. So I took the camera. I'm walking backwards to Jim to the camera. When I would look in the finder of the camera, I could see this. He could not.
Wow.
Went into the room. There was a room with a light on. He went in there. So I said, let's go in there. So I started walking in there. And then I saw his shadow on the door, and it scared me. And I stopped. And then so I turned. And as I was halfway in the room, I heard a noise like a rope, and then something touched my arm, and as I turned, his arm touched me. He hung himself. So we stepped out. We're doing some EVPs and stuff, and I'm like, guy, he's not here. He's gone. I said, so Jim goes, let's two-way Scott. He's here. He's in his office. So we did, and he goes, come to my office. Well, I didn't know where his office was, but I led him straight up. And as I was doing that, we went through the hallway. I described what the Mansfield looked like back in its prime. It had this green wallpaper, this gold trim, and then gold paneling down. I saw the warden and his wife's portraits, oil paintings on the wall. Knocked on his door. Scott said, how the hell did you find my office? I don't know. I was just told to come here. And I shared everything that I did. He goes, okay. He says, let me look into the files because we've got everybody that was here. And he said, what time do you think he was here? And I was like, I really don't know. I said, when they had the light gray jumpsuit, I said, I don't know if you got any codes on that. So we're in the East Cell Block. He comes and finds us. He goes, you need to come back with me. I want to show you something. We go in. We're sitting down at his desk. He hands me a bottled water, and I take a drink, and he goes, now open that folder up. And there was a picture of my guy. And I'm like, what the hell is that? He goes, the guy's showing you what happened to him while he was here. He was only there for like almost 2 years, 1955 to almost 1957. In the state of Ohio back then, they were allowed to lose 25 inmates a year due to no funds to take care of these inmates. So what they would do is they'd put them in 4 locations in the Mansfield Reformatories, what they call sweat boxes, and they would give them things to kill themselves. And so when they couldn't take it, they would do that, and then they'd take their body and put them out back, lay them on their stomach, and shoot them in the back, tell the family that they tried to escape and we had to shoot them.
Oh, wow.
He showed me all 4 locations in Mansfield. And I was like, this is crazy. So then when Chip Coffey, he done an event maybe a year after I did that. Well, I got an email from Chip. Hey, can you explain what I was just told about? I'm picking the same guy up. So I described everything to Chip. And I went back and we did an investigation in another area above the kitchen. Off to the left of the chapel, there's 3 nooses hanging up right above like these big blenders in the kitchen where you couldn't hear nobody. And they would take you up there and kill you. And then that was it. And I'm like, this is crazy. So my empath opened. So now it's like totally different. So I still use a lot of equipment, but I still go by my gut and what I'm picking up. Try not to get as much evidence as, look up research on anything. I want to see if I can pick anything up. So, but yeah, if I had to use a piece of equipment, it would be the REM pod. That would be my go-to.
I found a REM pod, buddy. That's my favorite piece of equipment. So, is there a piece of equipment out there that you just absolutely are like, I am not touching that. That's crazy. Like, this sucks.
Well, no, not really. I just think that a lot of the stuff is basically on the same thing. It's picking up EMF sweeps. It's the same thing. We need to step out of this box and start creating some stuff. We got the SLS. That's cool. Then you got the XLS. I started building my own little spirit portal box that I call it, is where I take people started using the reverb to the mini amp. I started putting the white noise to it. So I don't like hearing all that like you said.
Yeah.
So I put the white noise reverb on it with the reverb, and all you hear is words.
And you make this piece of equipment?
Yeah, it's right here. Everybody's got to have them, right?
Oh, of course we got Boo Buddy that talks way too much.
Drives me crazy. I was like, dude, you talk worse than my ex-girlfriend.
I told him, I said, if Boo Buddy just could talk a little less, he would be perfect.
Yes.
He's cute. He just talks a whole lot.
He's like that annoying friend. Shut up. Okay, here's mine.
Look at the little ghost on it. I can barely see it. Okay, there we go. Look at the little ghost on it.
Yeah, this is the Black Star amp, and then I've got you've got the noise. They're all green because I like ParaVizionz green is what I call it. So I've got one side has got the reverb, and the other side is the noise removal. And this thing is super quiet. And on the back, I use a charger where you know, when we're on investigation, we don't have power. So you can, this is it. This charges everything.
Wow.
You get 8 hours of charge. And then
How
you
much
can
is
charge
that
it.
for?
I was going to say, is this available on your website or?
I make them to when everybody wants one.
So how much do you sell for?
I sell for what I get the equipment. And I use Black Star, and I use the top of the line, the pieces of equipment, cables, shipping, $325.
I'm gonna order one.
Just reach out to me, man. And
We
I'm
ordered a
thinking
portal.
of what's that? I'm sorry.
We ordered a portal, and it's more of a headache than it's worth, in my opinion. Once it gets set properly,
It's okay.
it's okay.
Yeah.
But it's not quiet.
I call it the footsteps. So
Yeah.
if once it's set, it kind of sounds like somebody's running, like in like flat shoes. I can handle that, and then when a word comes through, it's pretty clear. But it's getting it set, and it takes so long.
Yeah.
And it's just like by the time you're ready to start investigating.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you're messing with this thing, and before you know it, it's 30, 45 minutes into your investigation. And some of these locations, you only have them for 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours.
So you don't want to sit there and mess around with something when you haven't even finished walking the entire building.
Exactly. So I want to say I can count on one hand. We've had this for almost a year.
Yeah.
And I can count on one hand how many times we've used it.
Now, what I've done with this thing, this is cool. Is you can, you got the SB7, you got the SB11. Now you got the new SB
7 Pro.
the Pro. Yep. I usually go with the SB7 and the SB11. You can do a dual. So you're going to hear just words because you got the noise removed, right? All the sound. Only thing you're going to hear is the voice. So I run them both. You just do a dual to the back. You can do Estes method through this. Plug your headphones in the back of the box. Blindfold yourself. It is badass. And getting, the SB7 to say the same word as the SB7 or 11 or whatever you use, that's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
And I usually do that even with all the Oviluses. You got Ovilus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I've got almost every one of them. I run them all at the same time.
That's crazy.
Even the off brands. I still the Ghost Hunters equipment store, and by Augustine, I want to get that pair of Force. I want to try it out. It's half the price of the Ovilus 5. It's $299. I know Project Fear uses it. I know some local people here that use it. And then now watching Expedition X, I don't know if people watch his Josh Gates show. They were just at Mackinac Island in Michigan, and they were using it. And I did some research, and it's the same insides as Bill Chappell's Ovilus. It's just, I was like, I got to have both. I want them. I want to see if they both work at the same time.
I mean, I'm not a fan of the Ovilus. I know a lot of people are. The only intelligent response that I've ever gotten off of Ovilus was we were in a Civil War hospital, and they had a mock poker game set up, and I flipped over a card, and because they had them all laying flat, and I flipped one over, and it was the 9 of clubs is what I flipped over, and the Ovilus, I said something to the effect of, do you want to play a game? I've got cash, I like money, you like money. And the Ovilus said 9. And I flipped over the 9 card. That's the only card I flipped over on the whole table. So was it intelligent? I mean, I don't know. I found it ironic. I flipped over a 9 card and the Ovilus said 9 at the same time.
See, that's right there. That's something, though. It's like, so you stop and you're like, how did that happen?
Right. Right.
Nobody else was around the cards. Nobody flipped it over. It wasn't anybody in the room saying 9. The equipment said 9.
Right. So, I mean, I'm still, I've said this before on previous podcasts. Sean is our equipment buff over here. I mean, I
can tell. Me and him would get along great.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Like you said, if you guys are lost, all we have to do is GPS, you're going to be at a ghost store. Me,
right.
Very in my bag, I roll with a REM pod, a laser grid, an SB7, and a K2. That's literally what's in my backpack. We break all that equipment, and Sean's always asking me like, hey, do you want to take this with you? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I've got my little stuff, So I'm trying out new methods. I'm trying to utilize new pieces of equipment because I do believe that they will work. I'm completely sold on the dead bell, like completely sold.
I was going to ask you, since you're there, I was thinking about buying the dead bell.
Go ahead.
Get it.
Is it worth it?
It is.
It's my favorite piece of equipment that I own.
Because if I hear that dead bell when I'm in a building and I'm not in that room, dude, that right there just gives you the
shout out FPRI Fredericksburg.
I actually think I have it on here. I'm gonna look really quick.
We were investigating at Belgrove, and one of the investigators, Rhonda, asked it to ring 3 times, ding, ding, ding. And that bell went off, ding, ding, ding. Then she turned around and asked it to ring 4 times. That bell popped off 4 times, right behind the 3. It was crazy.
No.
That right there. See that? I looks cool, and it's something, all this newer technology. If this is an older person, we got to make some of this older stuff. And I'm glad Sean did that. I'm glad that he brought something old school, the old hotel bell.
Yeah. I've had nothing but success with the dead bell. If there's something, the best way to manipulate that dead bell is to ask the spirit to ring it more than once, because it will ring constantly. If there's any EMF around, it'll make it ring. The best way to get a spirit to manipulate it is to ask it to ring more than once. So the way we do it is, make it ring twice.
And back on the my spirit box, I do make them for women. This is my wife's. It's the pink one.
Oh, look at the little girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like the mint green though.
Yeah, she's a big crocheter. She's got a page on Facebook called Lovin' Every Stitch. So she makes these little things for your PSP7.
Box. How cute is that?
Yeah, and she makes these for the ladies to throw around your shoulders for your equipment. That's skulls on there.
Oh, that's actually cool. I like that.
Yeah. That's what she puts all her equipment in, and she goes. She doesn't have to So she does a nice job inside. Yeah. So this is her little thing she does.
That's actually awesome.
Yeah.
I could never ever get down to crocheting.
She loves it. That's all she does. She crochets. She's making ghosts because we got a big event coming up in 2 weeks that we're putting on here in Middletown, Ohio.
I'm frozen.
You're frozen.
There we go.
She does all kinds of little.
That's pretty cool.
There we go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That was weird.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Do you have any of those portals readily available? Or do you got to build me one?
I got to build it. Yep, I build them just to order.
What's your turnaround time?
Give me 2 weeks.
Okay, that's not bad.
Well, I want one for sure.
Okay, that's no problem.
I will inbox you what his name is on Facebook. We'll keep it off of.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll shoot him a friend request
over here.
Yeah, we got an event. If you don't mind me plugging it in, if anybody's around Middletown and Cincinnati,
It's your show.
March 8th and 9th, we're doing an event called Paranormal Gathering at the Windermere. The Windermere is it's an event venue. You can look it up. It's in Middletown, Ohio. It's an old bank one that the owners had bought and turned it into an event venue. Beautiful. It's got the original vault on the first floor that they turned into a bar. So when they do like weddings and things, and then downstairs is original vault in the basement. The building's very active. So we teamed up with them and we do investigations there and all that. And so we teamed up with them to do this event. March 8th is we got vendors coming in. We got 30 vendors from all walks of paranormal coming. They're setting up between 2 and 7:30 that night. And then this is on a Friday. And then at 8 p.m. to midnight is our party. We call it the party. We have a DJ, karaoke, cash bar, snacks, appetizers, things like that. Just all the vendors and the general mission to come in and actually talk to some of the vendors that we got. We got Scott Johnson, which is part of Bishop Long's. I guess he was on that show with Bishop Long recently, and I can't remember it. Think, you know what? Let me just look it up here real fast before I butcher it all to pieces. Because I know I will. And I can't wait to meet him. But I guess I should have had this up beforehand. But some of the people, we're going to have the Bell Mansion there. They're going to be set up. Here we go. Scott Johnson. He's a minister at a local church here in Middletown. He's a certified religious demonologist. He was on the Eli Roth Presents the Legend of Exorcists. That was on the Travel Channel.
Okay.
He's with Bishop James Long, so he's going to be there. We got authors, John Kachuba. He's a big author in the paranormal. We got some Taps family teams out of Indiana. It's going to be there. So we're going to have. Do you guys know who Lauren Hellickson is?
That name does not ring a bell for me.
Okay, she's from Ohio. She goes to events all over. She makes really cool REM pods that she puts crystals. She puts crystals on top of them. So pretty cool. Sharp. We've got the original Pair of Sisters out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Yeah, we've got mediums, we've got crystal shops, we've got UFO alien, we've got Bigfoot, all that stuff.
Oh, cool.
And then we are going to do a dual investigation this Saturday night. And that is the Windermere and the Masonic Temple, which is 2 buildings up, because Middletown is full of activity. You're in
like the paranormal capital over there.
Yeah, the whole area. I'm just like, man, I says, we're in a perfect spot.
Yeah, I just looked it up. You had me at karaoke. We love some good karaoke.
Oh, me too. Karaoke and tequila, and I'm good.
Oh yeah, for sure. But you're about 7.5 hours away from where we're at. I really think that we should take a trip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a good road trip.
Collabs, investigate somewhere new.
Yeah, come over and we'll go to the Windermere and see if it's a weekend where she doesn't have an event going on, and I'll bring you guys in and check it out.
Awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to ask one more question before we wrap this up. I've had a lot of people come to us recently and ask us, what does it take to be a paranormal investigator? Or do you have any advice for me? So I try to ask everybody that we interview and chat with, what advice, if somebody wanted to become a paranormal investigator today, what advice would you give to them, or what direction would you lead them in?
Be true to yourself and be true with the group that you combine as a team. Work well together. Don't step on toes. Let everybody's opinions matter in your team. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing in the paranormal. That's a big thing. Do you. I always say, do you, boo-boo, and you're good. Being in it for a while, I'm just like, just do what's best for you. Learn as much as you can before, getting it. I know a lot of people just buy equipment to buy it because, it's cool. But do your research. Figure it out. Just like we were talking, Sean and I, just work with other people. You may, even though I put this together my way, someone may say, Lee, have you ever thought of doing this? Boom, no, but I'm all about it. My ears are open. God gave me these big satellites for a reason. So I'm here to help. And if to someone new into the field, I always tell them my door is always open. Shoot me an email, message me on Facebook. I'm here to answer any question. I'm here to help as much as I can. If I think that you're going down the wrong way, because Lately, some people don't want to be a true paranormal investigator. They just want to have a YouTube channel and they want to do their thing that way. And I'm like, well, if that's your thing, then do it. But don't always have a phone in your face doing TikTok live, because how are you really doing a thorough investigation? You're not concentrating on the investigation. You're concentrating on how many people are following you and liking your stuff on this phone. Put that down. I'm just old school. I'm like, no, don't do that. Let's get our hands dirty.
I'm with you.
So that would be my few little things to tell people is, there's so many good people in the field. You will find them, and they're willing to help you any way they can.
Outstanding.
I agree with that. I do. I agree with that. I think that meshing as a team is definitely important. Not stepping on toes is a big one. I'm not a big one for roles, so to speak. But I mean, I was given the title of lead investigator, but I don't look at myself that way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it's kind of like, I feel like we all need to investigate together. If one person's energy is off, you could botch a whole investigation and waste, money at the end of the day, because these investigations aren't cheap.
No.
Some of them are not cheap at all. And we try to stick more towards historical restoration projects. When we investigate, I'd like to know where my money is going.
Absolutely.
If I just paid you $500 for an overnight investigation and your porch still looks like the way it did 2 years ago when I investigated it, I've got a problem.
We were just talking about that. I want to know where my money goes, and I want to know, even though you bought this building for $1 and I just investigated it last night, right. I don't see anything happening in there, and you've had it for several years.
Right. So, and there's a couple locations like that out here,
they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
The owner's pulling up in a brand new Escalade, but the building looks like, a 1982 Toyota Corolla.
Yeah. And being in the fire, I'm always looking for asbestos. I want to make safety before I have any of my crew go in, because that's what I do for a living. That's my full-time job. But yeah, you got to watch a lot of that stuff. And that's why I work with historical societies, because that's really what got me moving into the paranormal. Is people are like, how are you getting all these investigations in these cool places? Well, I started out with several historical societies around me. Paranormal is a hot topic. Okay, boom. Go talk to these people, share. You're volunteers here. You want to keep this preserved. You want to keep it going. You want to do remodeling. We're here to investigate. We don't charge for our services. Let us do ghost classes. Let us bring people in and we investigate this location. All the money proceeds go to you.
Right.
And then so it took off. And this was like in 2004, and it took off to where I was in 2005, right before my daughter passed away. I was in Columbus at the Historical Society of the headquarters, talking to a group of 30 people, just me, sharing this idea, because they got all the great feedback down here in the southern part of Ohio. Wow, they're doing great. We need to. They asked me, can I be doing this in every county in Ohio? And I'm like, no, my team's not that big.
Right.
And that's when I was like, okay, maybe I should start stretching the team out to where we're all over, so then we can help these historical societies. So that's a big thing too that I would share with people that maybe been in it for a while and don't know how to get into it, because COVID's changed a lot for residentials.
Yes.
Is to go out to historical society around you and make a relationship, build that relationship. Tell them you're here to help them. People love paranormal. People are intrigued by ghost tours and ghost classes and ghost hunts. Help them out. Help them set up a boundary. Like I do one that we do 3 times a year. It's in Little Waynesville. It's one of the most haunted little villages here in Ohio. If you watched Ghost Nation, we were on, we investigated, we put the Buckeye Charm as a little shop there, but it used to be a Catholic church. That little town, phenomenal. I went into the place, and they love it. I've been working with them since 2006. I put with them proceeds that we do it 3 times a year. They tap out at 30 people. They charge $65. They do a dinner. Then they come up and we do a class, and then we pull our equipment out, and they get to help us with our equipment, investigate with us. They think that is so cool. And that's all awesome to them. And they're like, dude, you put an air conditioning, a furnace, You've put a new alarm system. You guys have done so much for us. And then it just took off. So I tell everybody, wherever you are, hit your historical societies. That'll bring you a lot of investigations.
See, we're struggling with that around here, and that's what we're trying to bring right now to the Hill City. Is the fact of the matter is we live in a very historical area. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of there was a lot of death. I mean, when the Battle of Gettysburg took place, they didn't have enough room for all of the dead and wounded and injured soldiers. So they actually stuck them on a train and shipped them here to Lynchburg, Virginia, in the tune of 10,000 injured and wounded soldiers came right here to Lynchburg, Virginia, and were treated in one of pretty much every corner in downtown was a Civil War hospital at some point.
Oh,
and I'm trying to reach out and tell these people, you have no idea you could capitalize on this. So right now there's a few neighboring towns that have other paranormal teams. But we're trying to bring awareness to the paranormal here in Lynchburg.
That's awesome.
Itself.
That is awesome.
So,
and I think it'll happen. Waynesville is all Quakers and they're really dry. So when I talk to them, I'm standing up behind the table and they're doing their 5 minutes of their normal stuff that they do at their meeting. And then when I came up, I'm like, the lady that was on the board, she goes, "Oh, they're going to love this." And I'm watching these people and I'm like, I think they're going to throw me out the door. And then when I get up to share my 2 cents, and I had it written down, but I didn't go with it. I went from the heart because I started figuring these people out. And I just told them from the heart. And then within 2 seconds, the president goes, "Well, favor?" And everybody goes, "Yes." And they said, "Can you do one this weekend?" And I'm like, "Well, no, I've got a residentials this weekend, but let me get with you on dates." And so they 1 or 2 comes, and then they just like to walk around with us, their shadows. It's great. They serve like cookies and tea, and water and soda when we take breaks. And it's a great time. And it's something, when I first started, I thought, man, we're going to run extension cords. A lot of this stuff's expensive. So I did something very different than a lot. I actually bought insurance for my paranormal team. And then that was a big part of it. And, so they were like, "Oh, well, if you're insured, we trust you because you're not going to destroy something." And I say, no, I want you guys here. Now, sometimes, I built that relationship up now to where I'm like, I call Linda and say, "Hey, Linda, can I go into the friend's home and investigate with just my team so we can gather some new stuff to share at our next?" "Oh, absolutely." But I always say, "Hey, it's your building. You come."
Right.
And we're investigating. So then they're like, "Have you, and when you're there, they're like, "Have you heard about the building across the street?" "Well, I've heard some things, but can you share some stuff from the historical society?" "Oh, absolutely." And then you're like, "Well, when can we get in?" And then I always had a big backbone because, being in the fire, I can get you in compliant. If you scratch my back, I scratch yours. So,
right.
But it's there. And it's an easy way to get some investigations. And you're doing your history. It's just a great thing. What a better place to start is right at your historical society.
Exactly. I'm all for it.
And we've done it. We've done bake sales for them to show them that we really care. I've done that years ago. They loved it. All the proceeds, I wrote a check and gave it to them.
That's awesome.
And I was like, "We did a bake sale and this is for you." Because I know that you're struggling to pay the electric bill for the summer or the winter because you have a sprinkler system in there and you got to keep the heat a higher temperature so the sprinklers don't break. So here you go. So all that matters, and it's easy. If anybody's got any questions, anybody listening, just reach out to me. I'll help you.
Yeah, we might be doing that because like I said, we're kind of getting that off the ground. We made some headway this past week. We did the town's first public investigation. So, and it was an excellent success. I mean, we had a ball, we sold out, and I turned around, like you said, it's so important to scratch their back so that they scratch yours. I turned around today and wrote a check and hand delivered it.
There you go.
And at that point, I don't care. I don't do this for the proceeds. I do this because I genuinely enjoy investigating the paranormal. I enjoy the unknown. It's like a a puzzle to me almost. And I'm trying to figure it out. And it's got 10,000 pieces and I'm only, 500.
And that's what's fascinating about an investigation is because when we first start, right, we may not get what the first piece of puzzle that we need at the beginning. We may get a piece of puzzle that's almost at the end of the puzzle.
Right.
But then we put it all together as the team collaborates. And it's like, wait, we got this at the beginning, right? And then now we're getting this, and this is who this is. It's like Scooby-Doo all over again.
Exactly. and that's what I think keeps this field so fascinating to so many people. And I don't think that we've interviewed anybody that hasn't been doing this for years and years.
Totally. Yeah. And it's a fascinating thing. I mean, it's I just love it because I've done it so many times to where I'm picking up something and I'm like, I don't get this. This has not been mentioned to me. And then I'm like, but right, I write it down or I remember it. And then I'm like 2 hours into it, we get something else. And I'm like, okay, this is what we were told. But then as we go, we hear more that was never been told. Like there's a place in Waynesville I'll share. The lady that owned the building, it's a dance studio for teenagers. She wanted me to investigate it because she said that it's young kids, of course, their energy is high. So that's why they're seeing things. They see a lot of people down in the basement. She says, and they're scared to come back. So she said, I can't lose my business over this. So she said, right, I got your name from the friend's home. Can you come and investigate the building? It's right downtown in the historical building in area. I go there. Well, I didn't know anything about it. We picked up a whole thing and we went to the Historical Society, and it's true. It's a true story. There was a triple axe murder that happened in that building. It was a home originally. And there was a husband and wife and their daughter. He had died. And there was another little town outside of Waynesville called Corwin. This gentleman would come over and he knew that the women were by themselves. And he tried to have his way with their daughter. She was an older girl in her teenage years, and it wasn't happening. Mother wouldn't allow that. So he went back to his barn and he sharpened up an axe. Well, he went to that house, and at this time she had the lady from next door in the house to help her, and he killed all of them.
Oh my.
Yeah. So we didn't know this until we were investigating the building. And I didn't know that's not the original house, because when we're in the basement, the foundation, it's probably about 2 inches wide. You got the original foundation and this pea gravel and then the new. And he's like, yeah, it's the original foundation on the outside, but the original house burnt. And then they built this house on top of that foundation. And I'm like, yeah, it's never going to go nowhere because the energy's downstairs. Right. It's in the rock, it's in the limestone. And, majority of those towns, they went over to the creeks and they took the quartz and they made their concrete. They brought it across, and that's how they built their homes. Right. Yeah. And it was just fascinating. They were like, wow, and so it's been picked up a lot, even at that Catholic church. It's now Buckeye Charm. That is actually diagonally behind it. And we picked up the guy that when he killed them, we're investigating the old church. There's an actual old grotto in the back of the church. We picked him up back there like he was bowing to God to forgive him for his sins. Wow. And that's when ghost hunters came in and did their episode there because they loved everything that we shared. And I'm like, guys, it's a story. We're putting the town story together from building to building to building. And it's fascinating when you dig into that. Yeah, it's just like, I'm ready to go again. Now I got a lot of this equipment sitting out here. Now I'm ready to go.
Well, Lee, it's been a pleasure. Do you have any questions for us?
No. It's been a great time. You guys seem awesome. Just reach out. Anybody on here, reach out. You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. If you're over in this area, you guys want to investigate, you guys welcome to come investigate with us.
That's awesome. Lee, I really appreciate you. Again, your story is so touching.
Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate that.
Definitely one that's going to stick with me for a while because that's pretty deep.
I sent you a friend request too.
Yep.
You're going to see weird name, but
I inboxed you what his name is. We'll
Okay.
leave it
Okay.
alone.
And
Absolutely.
as soon as you get that thing built or whatever, just let me know and I got you.
Will do, buddy.
Or however
Thank
that
you
works.
guys for having me, man. You guys have a great week.
Yeah, thank you. You have a wonderful night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.